Hi guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. Who thought I'd be saying that again? I certainly didn't expect to be back in this home screen. Kind of feels like being back home after quite a long break. So it's awesome to be back. It's just in the testing at the moment on the Chinese server. It's only running for like 3 hours a day. And I actually just had to grab some footage on my laptop, so I couldn't actually record my voice at the same time, so I'm actually just voicing over some of the footage. But it's still awesome to be able to create another arena video. And I managed to get sort of 3 or 4 battles in, and quite a lot has actually changed. So we're going to hop into some battles, hop into some gameplay, kind of take a look at what's changed, look at some of the new features, and just play some arena. I just didn't think it was ever going to happen again, so it's absolutely awesome to actually be back into battle. So for the first one, I actually somehow ended up going into battle with Hasdrubal and the Carthaginian hoplites, who were never the greatest units at the best of times, never mind at tier 1. So anyway, and I was trying to manage my fatigue and all this. It was all the memories of all the playing this game kind of came flooding back to me. But basically, I got thrown into some pretty high tier stuff. Initially, we got put against these tier 5 infantry, these Carthaginian infantry, so we were quite outclassed in terms of units. You'll also find I was having a fair bit of lag. I'm not entirely sure that was all down to the Chinese server ping though, because the hotel I was in, so this is how desperate I was to get footage. The hotel I was in didn't have Wi-Fi, so I sort of had my phone half leaning out the window, and it gave me enough mobile data to hotspot and managed to get the game to run. But as you'll see, it's kind of a little bit laggy at points. But anyway, I started to push in, and it's all coming back to me about managing fatigue, and you can kind of see me trying to keep my fatigue going, trying to keep the thrusts going so I can keep the damage in. And to be fair, we do pretty well, all things considered. Considering we're up against a tier 5 unit, we end up actually inflicting a fair amount of damage and kind of holding up quite a large number of enemy forces for quite a long time, presenting this sort of front line, particularly allowing some of our archers to get in, some of our javelins to do damage. You see we've got some friendly cavalry charging those javelins in the back. So when I first got in, I was saying quite a bit has changed in this game, and that really is true. So firstly, you'll see up at the top, there's now sort of like a total points score. And basically the first one to reach, to get the maximum number of points, I think it's 2,500, wins the game. And then you'll see below that, there's actually a load more capture points now. You have your base, and then there's points A to E in the enemy base. And basically control of these capture points determines how quickly your score ticks up. So the more points you own, the quicker your score ticks up. So you see currently we own more points than the enemy, and therefore we're gaining more points more quickly. And so that's what we're currently fighting over. You'll see you can just see on the map down in the bottom corner, you know, the point which we're trying to push towards. It's currently owned by the enemy, but we're trying to clear these guys out here and push onto that point. And things are going pretty well. We've actually decimated quite a lot of them. Still having some fatigue management issues, some fresh cavalry turning up, but trying to maintain this front line, and with the support of the javelins and some of the allied archers and stuff, we are slowly starting to wear them down, and hopefully we can get back on the offensive shortly. Well, one of the guys just routed rather unhelpfully. Forgot about the morale mechanics in this game. Could certainly be interesting. Oh, cavalry! That turn. This is where sort of my slightly dodgy internet is kind of annoying, because there's a bit of a lag between what I'm telling the unit to do and them actually doing it, which can be a little bit frustrating at times. And there's also now respawns and replenishment has been introduced into the game. I like the different flags. I'm not a huge fan of the replenishment personally, but it still makes for an exciting game. So basically, if all your units get killed, you can basically respawn. You get sort of a 40 or 50 second timer, and you can basically come back in. You have to stick with the same units you got. So if you pick, you know, as in my case, my Hasdrubal spears, I'm stuck with Hasdrubal spears. I can't go and you know, switch to Arminius Cav or something like that. It doesn't work like that. But you also get replenishment. So you see now most of my units are dead. They're all pretty worn out, and you can see the capture point there. That was what we were trying to push away to. So we killed all the enemies, some of the cav are pushing forwards, and I'm pushing my hoplites forwards as well to go and try and capture that point. I assumed the healing point was going to be nearby to this capture point, because it seems to be a sort of one of these replenishment points always nearby to the healing points. So I thought, oh, I'll push on and help cap, because obviously the enemy are respawning, so you want to try and, you know, make progress, get this done quickly, get the capture in, so to kind of secure this point, which is what we go on to do. So you can see I get onto the cap point there, provide a little bit of assistance in terms of the capping anyway. And there we go, we captured it. But then it put the respawn, the healing point, back where I was. So then I had to run everyone back. But you'll see I've now got one unit, which I obviously missed in the drag, and stays on the point. And you see it puts basically a 10-second timer on that unit. And then you see in 10 seconds, it's now back to full strength. You know, it's kind of cool. I kind of get it. It means that you can kind of keep your momentum going a little bit. So once you start to get units going, you know, you can go up, heal up quite quickly, get back to strength, and then like push on to the next point. So I think the idea is if you can get a roll going, then you can start to make decent progress. I don't dislike it, but I did prefer the system where you kind of have one life, one unit. It was kind of more exciting to me because it kind of put you all a bit on edge. You know, what the decisions you made really mattered because there's no coming back if you make a mistake. So anyway, beyond that, got all the units healed up and we're starting to push on. You'll also notice next to my 3 unit icons there's a little chevron representing rank. So the more a unit gets involved in combat, the more it ranks up and it gets small bonuses. So from, you know, rank 0 to rank 1, you get basically like a 7 or 8% increase to damage, something like that. And then beyond that it goes to, I think it then gets like, you know, 12 to 15% at rank 2, and it's like 20 to 25% at rank 3. So the more you use a unit in battle, or if you do particularly well, your unit starts to rank up and you get unit bonuses, which is nice. I like the in-game ranks, that's kind of cool, and that's just specific to that battle. So once that battle's over, obviously it resets to 0 for the next battle. So we start to push into these Romans, these little tier 2, are they tier 2 or tier 3? Romans. Trying to push into them. And you forget how good these spears are. I push a little bit too far here, but I was waiting for my thrust. I wanted to have a really good thrust, and I think it certainly is going to be, yeah, nice, really good chunk of damage. I forgot how effective these hoplites can be in the right situation, although I do get a little bit too fatigued, which is why I drag them out of hoplite formation and just stick them onto normal melee, just to finish off the last few of those Romans in that unit. And then we're kind of being shot at by these darn archers, so I was trying to push the rest of my hoplites on through to see what I could do. And you see one of them, oh, they gained rank 2 there. You can see that's what it's like when they level up. So we had some more Canary archers here, so I'm trying to get on them. I remember obviously you've got a flying column, that short little charge, really satisfying. Oh, that was nice. Really good amount of damage. Unfortunately some enemy cav turns up and comes around behind me, so that gets that unit caught up. And then I'm focused on trying to kill these remaining archers as they're running away. Trying to get that extra bit of damage on them. Kill them. Getting a good. We got right in the middle of a lot of them there, so we managed to get quite a few kills on quite a few of them. And then it's onto the base. I'm trying to push on, trying to keep the pressure on. We've got a really good lead now over the enemy. You can kind of see what our score is, almost double that of the enemy. We're almost 2,500. I guess the limit must be like 3,000 or something like that. So by trying to keep the pressure on them, obviously I'm trying to force them back, keep them into their base, and keep that pressure on. As we've got our many other units pushing up. One guy's kind of got caught into a fight down there, so I'm now sort of split up a little bit. I remember how micromanaging this game could be. It's quite hard. I feel really rusty after being away for such a long time. I've played for so long. My flying column didn't really work very well there. Didn't really activate quite in the right time. But we still managed to catch that unit of archers all the same. And we're on, and we're basically capturing their base now. So I'm trying to do the same sort of thing with those guys. The flying column was on cooldown though, so I couldn't unfortunately use it. And then there's some cav. I'm quickly trying to activate the phalanx. A slight delay, but we managed to get it on in time. I managed to block most of the unit. And a fair chunk of damage, particularly when we get our thrust in there as well. And we've got our second unit turning up to try and trying to assist. So I'm trying to sort of block up this entrance. Although we do kind of get some cav coming around behind us, which really wasn't ideal. I was a bit worried here. I was a bit caught out of position, particularly as my third unit's off at the back fighting some other spears or something like that. So I kind of got a bit stuck in micromanaging these guys more on the base. And then you see I was trying to manage my fatigue and trying to keep sort of a semblance of a front line going. Although I'm getting quite a lot of fire from enemy archers, which is kind of annoying. But we are blocking up this cav and we're holding it back from the rest of our guys. We've got some high tier infantry behind us who's sort of going to town on some of this enemy cav and stuff. That's kind of pretty good for us. So yeah, I was kind of blocking these guys up. The other unit, my third unit, I've pretty much forgotten about this point, and it's kind of getting overwhelmed by it. You can see all the Germanicus infantry turning up behind it. So, it's not going to be a particularly positive experience for them, I don't think. And you can see that I'm trying to keep pressure, I'm trying to contain these cav, because they're getting infantry turning up as well now. So I'm trying to sort of fall back a little bit to sort of reform the line so I don't get outflanked. Particularly as we've got those allied units there in the cap as well, which is kind of cool. This poor unit is just in so much trouble. But, you know, we're doing a good job because it means the enemy isn't capturing the other points because they're all focused on trying to defend their base now. So it's really a case of just trying to hold on as long as possible, trying to sort of keep our lines going. We killed pretty much the bulk of that enemy cav. See some of my lag spikes ticking in a bit there. But we're just trying to hold them back, trying to get a bit of damage in. And, you know, our score is ticking up so quickly. We're on the brink of winning now. We do not far left to go. The enemy's basically capturing nothing because we own all these supply points. Bar 1, bar D point. So let's just try and keep the pressure on. We actually can still manage to do a fair bit of damage here, to be fair, considering that we're pretty depleted units and we're only a tier 1 unit. Just with our sort of spear thrusting, keeping them in formation. We unfortunately then get rear flanked by a tier 5 unit. And you know, it's on the diminish now, isn't it? Things certainly don't look good. Don't look good for us. Although one of our units made it to rank 3, which is kind of cool. But I mean, it's really pretty much nearly the end of the game now. Our last 3 units get surrounded in base and kind of get flattened. But it gives you a little bit of an idea of what the replenishing mechanics are like. And well, you didn't see the respawning, but you know, take my word for it, you get to respawn. It's kind of cool, but personally, I still preferred back, you know, when we just had the normal 1 life mechanics, because I think it gives everyone a lot more sort of fear. I think it's good to be afraid of losing your unit. I think that's what you want to have, and I think that's something that's kind of important. Anyway, that was that battle. I quite enjoyed that one. I thought that one went pretty well. But let's just hop into some of these barbarian field battles and kind of see how we're getting on with some of them against some other players. So, for the second battle, barbarian cavalry. Not really the unit to be playing when you have a very laggy internet connection, as you'll kind of see. Half the time I don't get my charges off in time, so you'll see, particularly later on once I realise what's going on, I try and activate my charges really far in advance so that it gives that a couple of seconds to then actually activate them. But there we go. So initially, straight on the off, we get engaged in a bit of a cavalry fight. 1 unit of Greek cavalry and 1 unit of barbarians, but we get a good charge off, and we do a pretty good chunk of damage from the start. We go for a bit of a mount kick, and we've kind of got them pretty well surrounded. Combine that with some Roman infantry pushing in as well, and I feel this is kind of a fight worth staying in, because I think there was a pretty good chance that we're ultimately going to be winning this one, even though if we do take a little bit of a loss on the way. So I kind of stick with it. So just keeping the pressure on these guys and get stuck into this fight. I wanted to try and capture this C point. That was my sort of overall thought. So I wanted to finish these guys off kind of to do it. Although I did notice that some enemy Germanicus and stuff pushing in. And quite a big fight going on up in the north. But keeping these guys surrounded. Unfortunately, they didn't rout. I was kind of hoping that unit would rout. You see me trying to get the unit to click on them again. We go for the mount kick. I think at some point I realised I might be better off if I try and rout the Greek cav. Probably lower morale. You'll see actually I finally think about it. Hopefully, go on Evo, realise what you're doing, click on it. It's remembering how these things actually work. Can you remember all the morale mechanics? And there we go, I realise it's going down, so I'll click on it, and I think that gives me the flank that I actually wanted. And there we go, there's the rear flank that I was looking for, and they're doing a rout, and then we're enough to get enough surround and finish off both units of cav. Nice, and we didn't take too many casualties doing that, so all in all, I was pretty pleased. And then tried to sort of split my cav off. I just thought I'd send 1 unit in against to get a charge against this Germanicus, provide a bit of assistance. You see, my really delayed charge didn't go off. You heard me press charge, but it didn't actually activate in time, unfortunately, which is a real shame. But that's, I think, more my internet connection to where it was more than the ping, because the actual ping to the server is like 200-300, something like that, which, while not ideal, really isn't too bad. So, you know, it should hopefully be okay. So then I'm kind of looking, where do I want to go next? I saw we got some allied troops kind of pushing up, and then I thought, you know, we actually own a lot of the enemy points. Maybe I should just kind of go for the enemy base. So whack on momentum, and I'm off. I'm off towards the enemy base. That's kind of my thinking. I'm thinking, well, there might actually be anything between me and the enemy base, so I could actually maybe get a good bit of capture in, and that will really give us a sort of a good boost in terms of our score. Because if you look, we actually pretty much own all the points, bar like the D point, which I think is being contested. Although no, we actually just captured it. So we actually currently own everything. So it's really going quite well for us. There we go, our first unit just made it to rank 1. And then I start to push into the enemy base point. So to see so far, actually absolutely nothing. Although obviously their respawn, particularly now we own all the flags, is likely to be around here. So it is a bit of a dangerous thing to be doing, because there's a bit of a risk that we're going to get some stuff coming at us, you know, pretty intensely once they start to respawn, because a few of them actually are dead already. And obviously they're going to be coming in after their sort of 40-second cooldown, something like that. And we start to get a bit of stuff lobbed at us. I think it was actually a javelin throw. thought, well, let's go and have a look. But then there's Germanicus and spears, and I thought, oh no, actually, I don't really fancy that. But then this unit of javelins wanders down on its own, and I thought, oh well, you know, when in Rome, it seemed rude not to. Clumped up, bit of a bad cavalry, you know, management in terms of clumping, but they really asked for that. So that was just quite easy, unfortunately, and they routed. And we did take a peeler throw from some of the enemy javelins, but I knew I could finish these guys off in time. There we go, got the kill, finished that unit off. Hopefully get the momentum back going, and then just get back out of that fight, run away from them again. I remember that used to be one of my favourite things about running cavalry is when people sort of slightly mismanage and spread out a little bit too much. You can sort of get in, get the kill on the vulnerable units, and then charge out again before the heavy infantry turn up. That's kind of what we did here. I knew I'm not going to be able to cap here because we've got quite a lot of enemies turning up. You know, I can't contest spear walls and 3 units of Germanicus as well. So I'm sort of thinking, well, we caused a bit of a nuisance for them. Let's think about getting out of here now and getting on towards maybe providing some assistance somewhere else. I noticed the sea points being captured, but then again, what have we got? Some pretty high tier clumps of enemy melee infantry. You know, what really am I going to be able to do against that? I'm only tier 2, you know, it's not going to go tremendously well, is it? So I'm thinking, well, okay, that's not really a target I can get too involved in. Let's have a look elsewhere. Then I noticed there's a unit of javelins there on the right again, which I was kind of interested in, because there was a few friendly infantry around there. So I thought, well, if the friendly infantry end up engaging that Germanicus, or it looks like they're about to get recharged, then you know, I might be able to provide a bit of assistance. So that's kind of where I'm thinking at the moment. Maybe I can sort of get a bit of cap going on here. Although I'm thinking about how I'm going to get around there, so I've tried to split my units up. So I'm struggling a little bit with some of the lag at this point, because even my orders were taking quite a long time to issue, my movement orders. I'm trying to think far ahead. So I tried to get them to turn in. I go for my charge. I don't know if it activates or not. Oh, it did. At least I got a charge off. And then I was thinking, I know I'm going to engage these guys from the front, but I've got a second unit, so you know, let's rear flank them. That was kind of my logic. You can see I'm trying to get that, but then this guy just isn't responding to me. I'm like, move! I need you! I'm dying! Come my third unit. So I kind of get a little bit caught out there. I'm trying to deal with them. These guys finally start moving, but way too slow. Come on, I'm really wanting them to respond a bit quicker. Get them to line up a bit. I go for my charge. They do at least activate on the charge, which is nice. It gives a good chunk of damage in the rear. But I'm just a bit too low level, really. You know, I don't get the amount of rear charge damage that I'd like to see. And you know, you can see here, it doesn't really do all that much. We have done a chunk of damage against them, but you know, we're half health them, and we're losing so many models now because we just kind of get caught into a bit of a fight. And I'm thinking about trying to maybe pull some units out now, because I'm thinking, well, this isn't necessarily going particularly well. I did think maybe I can then think about maybe regrouping and recharging, because these spears are now fully like turned around and facing the enemy. And these guys nicely kind of walk across me and pretty well block my charge entirely. So we just end up walking in. But it does give us the rear flank, and I think that's hopefully going to be enough to actually get them to rout, hopefully. Because a lot of them have actually died now. God, rout, you bastards. There we go, there's the left flank, and there goes the rout, and that goes the end of the unit. But, I mean, it's really, we're down to about a third of a unit each now. So I could, at this point, you see above my Arminia's portrait, I could just press full back, and that basically puts me to the respawn screen. And you'll end up basically back at your own base, and then you get stuck sort of, you know, basically there, but then you'll be back to full health. So, I mean, that's always an option you can kind of consider. You see, I'm kind of thinking about what I wanted to do here, which way I wanted to go. And I'm starting to just clump up now because, you know, I'm the third unit each, so it's basically like one full health unit, because most of the units are so badly diminished. But we are, at least as a team, doing really quite well, beating the enemy quite convincingly, you know, almost sort of 3 or 4 times their score. So I'm just kind of looking for, you know, opportunities to get a nice charge in. I saw these cavalry kind of engaging here, you know, facing away from me, so I thought, nice opportunity, quite a clean run up on it. Try and activate my charge nice and early, because you can know I've got the delay, and it's quite a long charge with the Barbarians. So we get a really nice charge in, and a rear flank, and that's enough to get it done, rout, and killed. These guys seem to think, oh, maybe I don't want to go that way. But yeah, no one runs from Arminius Cav. It really is the fastest, and still is the fastest Cav in the game. So there's a bit of a fight going on here. One that, I mean, I felt the Allies were convincingly going to win, but, you know, one where a rear charge opportunity maybe presenting itself, or this was what I was thinking. Trying to come down, thought, well, I might be able to get a few cheeky kills in the back here. Waiting for a charge. I can't remember if I activating time. I don't think I do. You can see how lag I'm suffering there. Didn't even get the charge off, despite I pressed it about 3 seconds ahead. A lot of stuff here. I'm just trying to get some of the rear flanks on. I'll go for a mount kick, which kicks a lot of the stuff forwards, particularly pushing them into our allied player. And you see, I'm just trying to get rear flanks on stuff because, you know, as you click on it, obviously you're activating the flank on it. For those of you who remember, you know, if you just charge into a unit and let your units actually attack, they don't really provide morale modifiers. You actually have to actively sort of click and decide which one you want to actually attribute that rear flank to. And then we pretty much just finished off a lot of those guys. And there we go, last few of them done and routed. So that was nice. That was just finishing off the remains of those couple of units. All my units are now second rank, which is nice. It gives them that extra impact damage in the charge. We've routed a ton of stuff. We've got our little flags and stuff. It's nice to see a lot of the stuff that was in the base game is kind of still there, but just been sort of added upon with these extra flags and you know, respawn mechanics. So then I'm charging around looking for my next kill. So I'm thinking, where do I want to go? I know I'm not realistically going to be able to charge through my allied infantry, but you know, all the same, I thought, you never know. And yeah, we did nothing. It was a completely pointless charge. I knew it was going to be, but I still tried it all the same. Because I thought, well, we're getting pretty close to winning this match now, so I thought maybe I can just try and grab a few extra kills where I can. I'm kind of just looking around. We seem to have got the enemy sort of really quite heavily pinned into their sort of corner, so which is good for us. I should really have thought about just going back to one of our friendly points and getting one of the, you know, on one of the healing points. Because, you know, we would have really been able to just get back up to full strength really quite quickly, particularly considering how mobile these Barbarian cav are. You know, it would have been a real beneficial thing to do. And then I'm just sort of going around looking for targets, really. A lot of allied troops starting to push onto base, which is really good for us. And then I saw these little javelins being chased at the back. Thought, well, that's a nice, you know, nice little opportunity for us. If our team was struggling to catch them, then, you know, we'll easily be able to catch up with those Germanicus javs. Germanicus javs, what a terrible combination. And we kind of catch up a little bit. Come on, hurry yourselves. There we go. I love how fast the Barbarian cavalry is. That was one of my favourite units at the time. Again, we're kind of blocked, so we're not really getting around to charge. See, they still clip into the allied units like you used to, but we can engage these javelins in hand to hand once we sift our way through the allied hoplite unit. She's doing a very vigorous job of trying to block me, quite effectively. But we still managed to get in and basically finish off the remains of this unit. I really missed having my Hasdrubal cav. That's what I really want to get back. But you don't get them to basically tier 5 with those, you know, Amazighi tribesmen. So I didn't get them a lot because, as I say, we only had a couple of hours to play when the server was online. But anyway, it is pretty fantastic to be back in the game. It feels like it's been such a long time since I last played this, and I really didn't think I was ever going to be able to play it again. You know, it's a shame it's currently, you know, only in the Chinese servers, but, you know, it's still cool to be able to play. And I'm certainly going to be testing it a little bit more. I don't know if it's going to be, you know, go back to being the main thing of the channel, probably not, but it's certainly something I'm going to touch on from time to time, particularly as it's quite nostalgic, isn't it, and kind of pretty awesome to be able to back touch into it. But anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you've enjoyed this as much as I have making it. It's been really cool to be back in Arena. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope to see some of you in game, and I shall see you all on the next Total War Arena video.